to Scrub Mode, the podcast that sits at the intersection of gaming and monsters. My name is Julio. I'm joined by my two friends, Ryan and John.
Howdy.
Yeah.
I'm John.
Yeah.
That's Ryan.
That's Ryan.
Hi.
Yeah. And
I'm my friends.
yeah. And we're going down the monster manual some more.
We are.
We're
I don't have a
ending
good
with
lead-in
these,
for this
right?
one. Do you
We're
guys
ending
have a
with
good
these.
intro?
Oh no.
What are we talking? I don't know.
We're talking the last two D's of the monster.
Oh,
manual.
right.
Yeah, I mean, we're technically the last two Ds are Drow and Dryader, but we're bumping them off to the side to make it a little easier. We're doing Dryads and Duergar, which sounds like I actually don't know how to say that word. I've looked it up now from multiple places and nobody can agree.
It's completely different from the Draugr, right? From Skyrim.
Yeah, the Draugr, I want to get into...
That's spelled different.
It is.
We'll get into Draugr, like, one day when we do Revenants or some shit, because, like, there are Norse stories, because Draugr are from Norway and stuff like that. There are Norse stories of Draugr, like... How do I say this? Getting arrested for causing a disturbance.
Going to jail.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, just a little
Being put on trial, being like, hey, bud, get off that roof. Stop drinking that man's blood. Not okay.
No!
Wow.
You can't make me.
Okay,
I'll
well,
drink this man's blood whether you like it or not.
we'll get. I think our lead-in is like we're gonna talk about another blood drinker here in a roundabout way. I think that's our switch.
Okay.
Oh, fantastic.
But first, yeah, like what you know about Dryads? Let's start there.
Dryads.
They're the forest people, right?
Yeah, the tree ladies.
They're not elves, but they're...
Tree ladies? Are they like? They're not like nymphs, are they?
Yeah, they're a type of nymph, actually. Nice job
Oh,
with
they're
your
a type
Greek
of nymph.
classification.
Identified. 10
You
You
points
get your
to
monster
Julio.
manual, you get your Pokedex out.
I see.
Dryad, the nymph Pokemon.
The nymph.
I'm actually kind of shocked. Well, I was gonna say I'm kind of shocked that like there's not another like Dryad Pokemon, but like so many grass Pokemon can almost be that. You know what I mean?
Oh.
Like it's just a tree lady.
That's true. That's true.
I mean,
Anyway.
I'm sure eventually they'll come around to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The closest we got is what? I don't know.
Oh, I don't know. Like Zarina, Vileplume. I think you could. I think those are all.
No,
pretty close.
I was gonna say Treant, but no, that's a Treant.
The ants.
Maybe the Dryads are the Entwives. I don't know.
Maybe.
There's a Tolkien scholar furiously writing us a letter right now, being like, actually.
Actually.
But
You're
yeah,
gonna
no.
send
So,
us the Victorian copy pasta.
oh boy, we just went cursed so fast.
Oh man.
But yeah, Julio, you are 100% correct. They're a type of nymph, which is a type of fey creature, almost
Right.
on like demigod level, who
Yeah.
is connected to an aspect of nature. In this case, trees.
I see. Okay.
I think most people know that, so we're gonna also cover some related tree spirits here. But yeah, in Greek lore and in D&D, Dryads are connected to a specific tree or a grove of trees which they gotta protect.
I see.
In some stories, if you cut down a tree that the Dryad is connected to, you'll kill the Dryad. And in other
No.
stories, you'll just piss her off and then she'll kill you.
Okay, fair.
I like those ones better.
Yeah. I'm looking at some
I
pictures.
feel like it
from
depends on how
Dryads right
powerful
now.
the Dryad is.
I just
Wait,
googled
sorry.
Dryad.
And I mean in terms of story. Like
Yeah.
for the story. Like if the Dryad was like an incredibly powerful creature, like, oh, you can only kill it by killing the tree. But if it
Yep.
was just like a chill creature, it's all like, well, kill the tree, then it gets super pissed, and then it'll kill you.
Yeah. Unfortunately, at least in D&D, Not super powerful creatures. If you flip open your monster manual there, they'll say that they are you'll see that they are a pretty non-threatening challenge rating 1 monster.
I see. Oh,
They have a spell list for a CR1 creature, including Druidcraft, which is the druidy version of like thaumaturgy and stuff like that, just general useful stuff. They got Entangle, they got Goodberry, home of the Goodberry.
Oh,
Uh,
nice.
Impossible not to read Goodberry and make that joke.
I see.
And you look at it and you say, "That's a good berry."
That's a good berry. That berry,
Home of the
folks,
good berry.
we got a good one. They also have
Oh,
Chalet.
there they are.
Did you guys see that they recently buffed all the cantrips?
No,
In what
did
edition?
they?
Yeah,
In
in
what?
5th edition, they have a UA. The funny thing about Shillelagh now is it does force damage, so you can like take a baseball bat and like break a magical cage if you
That's
cast
Wow.
funny.
Shillelagh on it, like a force
Wow.
cube.
What?
I think it's so funny that you can just like be- hit invisible creatures with stick. Done.
That's a that's an incredible buff.
Yeah, beat a vampire's
What?
ass down with a stick. Just a twig. Just beat his ass.
Like, what is that? It's a vampire. They pull out the bat. Give me the
Yep.
shillelagh. Enchant my bat. What? Enchant my bat now!
Yeah. You're doing the whole like this is not going to translate into an audio medium at all, but like the point for the infield, like wind up
Yeah.
the bat.
You do the old Babe Ruth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
ready to just take somebody's fucking head off. They also got Barkskin.
You ever
They also...
see? Hold on. Quickly speaking about baseball, you ever see Barry Bonds? You ever see him when he was
like the
playing?
person Barry Bonds?
Like you see? No, I mean like have you ever seen like him in game, like when he's
Nah. Not a big
like?
baseball stan, honestly.
I did have a friend in elementary school who was like Barry Bonds is the greatest baseball player ever, and so all of my Barry
He was
Bonds information was transmitted to me in 6th grade.
yeah he was one of the big guys who really made left their mark on at
Baseball.
least in terms of being like a famous baseball player. But what's interesting about him is that he every time he went in a game, he always had this crazy like pair of gauntlets on. They were
Real?
just like sport padding gauntlets, right? But they were
Is this a
huge.
bit or is this?
It's not a bit. It's just like one of those like it's part of his fit, right?
Oh, I see.
Like in
Okay.
terms um of like just going out there and being a player, like his uniform for himself was he'd have the uniform on, the base like his team uniform on, but then he'd also have these arm these arm gauntlets on.
You've posted a picture now, and I was googling it. I see that man has some very powerful arms. Are you suggesting that perhaps it was these arm gauntlets that give Mr. Barry Bonds his incredible baseball strength?
No, but he looks like someone who would hunt a vampire. Like with
He
things
could.
like those prevents bites.
I see.
Yeah,
He
I
look
mean,
I mean if he just padded up a little bit more, he'd look like a guy like a knight who just played baseball.
Looks like
can
a
you?
SWAT guy almost.
Yeah, can you imagine like waking up from your grave as a vampire and like Barry Bonds is there with the baseball bat? Like
That'd be
you can.
insane.
I don't know enough baseball stats to effectively make this joke, but I'm going to assume Barry Bonds can swing a baseball bat hard enough to decapitate you just through sheer blunt
Oh,
trauma.
I'm sure.
for sure.
No axe
For
needed.
sure he'd be strong enough to do that.
Yeah.
Now, what if he had a tree? What if he had a bat made out of wood from a dryad's tree? Huh? Just straight ignore
That
that
would be
damage resistance.
he'd be he'd be nigh unstoppable.
Is this a usable idea for your D&D game? I don't know.
Yeah, bring in a
Maybe.
Barry Bonds XP.
Sir Barry of Bonds.
He carries a enchanted bat of the Dryad Forest.
and he's here to kick ass and chew some big league chew. And let me tell you, big league chew runs out of flavor too fast. So now he's ready to kick some ass. Okay.
He's very annoyed that he doesn't have any more flavor in his big league chew, and he's going to inflict anywhere between 6 to 36 damage on you.
Hey,
Are all dryads female? I guess is that.
Yeah, I mean, I think in Greek lore, yeah, but I think you could do whatever you want here. We're playing make believe.
You could. That's
We're
true.
playing Barry Bonds Vampire Hunter, so you go.
It does kind of suck that the Dryad only has 11 armor.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, even with
that does suck, huh?
even with bark skin, you're gonna fucking. Well, I don't know if I
Yeah,
say
you're gonna
smash her.
hurt some. You're gonna hurt them either way.
Hmm. Luckily, she also has pass without trace, so she can stay practically invisible unless you really crank your rolls. And she also has the nifty ability to teleport between trees.
That's nice. That's a good I'm out of here move.
Yeah, peace. I want to get Barry Bonds, dude.
Yeah.
No, Barry Bonds, we can't provide you with any more of our special tree wood.
Is Barry Bonds still alive? You're not making jokes at the expense of a dead guy, right?
No.
Okay.
And if we did, who cares?
I don't want to get Barry Bonds. Do you know what I mean? We just talked about how he could probably take your head off with a single swing.
I think he'd appreciate it.
It's true. We're portraying him as a hero.
Yeah.
He's like, these three boys, they understand. They understand my swinging ability.
Yeah. Anyway, monks. Woof. Dryads.
Yeah. Monks.
I've been reading a lot about the Black
speaking.
Monk of Pontefract, which was almost our Halloween episode, so that's still rattling around my head.
Fun.
But yeah, I look at the Dryad and I'm like, this is not a particularly challenging creature to fight. This is definitely we've talked about some monsters are just raw stat sticks. Some monsters have fun tricks. Some monsters are basically just living traps. And this is what I'd call an NPC monster or something like that, right?
Yeah.
This is not a very interesting fight, but this is a monster that will go to your player characters and be like, hey, Barry Bonds is busy and my forest is getting fucked up, so I need you.
Yeah.
The vampires found out that our woods make great stakes to kill them with, and Barry Bonds, the vampire slayer, is not here to protect us.
I mean, we will get to this years maybe later when we do vampires, but in a lot of the stories, you can't just use a table, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, to kill a vampire. You need specific good woods.
Yeah.
I'm starting to sound like a wood shop dad.
Blessed wood. I think I remember that episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Where they talked about woods.
Broke off a chair leg and stabbed a guy.
I think it happens a lot.
Oh yeah.
That seems like a thing that early 90s television, or maybe late 90s television, would kind of just throw in because writing about vampires is I guess easy at the time.
I'm not smart enough to what was going on with 90s TV? Because we had Buffy, we had Angel, we had X-Files, we had Goosebumps, we had Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Mm-hmm.
We had Baywatch Nights. Can't forget Baywatch Nights. Where David Hasselhoff fought vampires. There were a lot of spooky cops.
Huh.
I don't know.
Yeah, huh?
I don't know.
That's true.
The 90s just was it'd be dope. We just started doing a whole horror goth era.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
What if we got everyone to wear
in vogue? I guess it was in vogue.
Wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Young John Vasquez was making comics.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And eventually made a cartoon that touched millions of scene kids.
Yeah. I remember hearing Jonan talk about the process of working on Invader Zim and how it was a fight for every joke. You had to justify every single joke. and it's just like these. I don't know, man. It's like the executives know what kind of comics he made. You know what?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
like
mean,
you
like,
hired him for a reason,
Yeah,
but they just
to
wanted to control his content.
yeah,
what executive? We could probably find this out, but what executive was like, the dude who's writing a very edgy comic about a serial killer who's painting his wall with blood so that an extra dimensional entity doesn't get out. Let's give that guy a kids show.
Yeah,
yeah.
he made a kids show about an alien.
I bet it was someone who was like coming out of the '80s. You know, I remember back in the day they had a RoboCop cartoon too. This ultra violent like movie. It had gets
Yeah,
a
but the
cartoon.
cartoons were never as violent. Like they had, there's an
Yeah,
alien cartoon and stuff like that.
that's true, isn't it?
Like
They had a lot of weird spin-off cartoons.
that is
Yeah,
another good
um,
point though. Like what was with the '80s and then to a lesser extent the '90s being like, man, kids really love this movie that they are far too young to see. Let's make a
yeah,
bunch of toys. I had
yeah.
so many xenomorph toys back in the day.
Oh man.
But yeah, point two on that. Did you see Alex Hirsch's long thread about like all the shit Disney made him cut from Gravity Falls?
oh,
Really?
I
Yeah.
saw it. I didn't read it.
Yeah, it's a funny read. I suggest you go back to it. But like, there was there was a lot of shit where it was like, they wanted them to cut some like representation stuff, which is always a bummer. But there's like a
Of
lot of
course.
jokes that were completely innocuous that someone at Disney was like, someone's gonna get fucking offended, and Alex was like, yeah.
Yeah, it's like we
Almost
can't have that.
every bit, almost every joke was a similar situation where we had to fight for everything. And I'm not an executive, but
I
like,
mean,
why?
yeah, I get it.
If you don't want the content, why hire the people to make the content? And
Yeah,
I guess
right.
that's why. I guess the answer is they don't, and that's why the strike happened.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's they
Anyway.
want someone to make something for them that would generate revenue,
Yeah,
but like they don't understand that. Well, they do understand to a degree because that's the reason why they hired them, but they
yeah.
don't understand why people like the things that are coming out from these people.
I think you're probably right because like famously, and again, not to dunk on any executives except for like those that deserve dunking on, but like
Yeah.
famously, executives never learn the right lesson from a movie, right? Like Barbie was a
Yeah.
smash hit, and what
Mhm.
are they
Yeah.
doing?
Yeah, they're making like a Mattel cinematic universe or
Yeah,
some
as
shit.
opposed to like give more
Yeah.
directors with a vision a project and
Like the
letting them
ability to
go.
make a movie. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, instead of just doubling down on the thing that made money
yeah,
Yeah.
and
which
not really.
It's
Yeah,
it's very executive thing to do, right?
yeah,
It's
yeah,
just like they see something happen and they only glean from it the thing that they think is the moneymaker,
yeah,
yeah,
which is like
yeah.
there's no way this talented director did anything that could have made this in, absolutely insane concept of a movie work.
yeah,
No, it was the fact that it was an insane concept of a movie that brought people in, which only part true. People wanted to see what a Barbie movie would be. They didn't expect it to be a hit of just an interesting look on like an existential problem or a question that's
yeah.
been brought up
And I also think, like I
multiple
said,
times.
somebody who likes Marvel movies, but I also think people wanted to see something new, and it's been like
Yeah,
a decade plus of Marvel movies.
Yeah.
it's been a decade plus of Marvel movies and television shows.
And we're
Television
getting more
shows.
Marvel movies too,
Yeah,
right? I mean,
yeah.
for what I
We're,
heard,
we're still they've already confirmed phase 4 or something, so
yeah.
they have to move
Yeah,
through with the plan. The
I know
problem is
Fantastic
that
Four is on
like
that list. That's pretty cool. I don't know.
that's pretty cool, but unless they do something different with the Fantastic Four, nothing's gonna change. People will be like it's the same boring recycled kind of concept or
yeah,
formula.
Yeah. Anyway,
Look,
Dryads.
I can argue.
yeah,
Yeah, no, Dryads. But like yeah, I could argue about like the media space that like all of our favorite franchises or favorite uh IPs have fallen into like this strange black hole of just like
yeah.
never ending.
It's
Um
very interesting. As somebody who
Yeah,
has a better, and I'm pretty good, well versed, but I want somebody who has like a media scholarship degree. Like I think there are connections between this and the golden age of Hollywood, air quotes. Also, like
Yeah.
with the depression overlap. Anyway, this is a light one, so I don't care about that diversion. Dryads, man. How about we're so off? You guys got any thoughts on dryads before I talk about real ass
What
dryads in this fake ass
realized?
world?
I'm pretty excited for some real ass dryads.
in this fake ass world.
In this fake
Yeah.
ass world, okay.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: it's just like it's a dryad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you read one, you've pretty much seen all of them. You know,
Have you
It's
seen
like
Ferngully?
really.
You're gonna get it.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're gonna get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
That's what it is.
how about this? This is what I found interesting in my dryad folklore. So there are every Greece being Greece, every different tree has a different type of dryad protecting it.
Of course.
That's cool.
Yeah. So and boy, my ancient Greek is not good, and I didn't even look these up, so bear with me. But the Melii protect ash trees.
Hmm.
And in some traditions, uh, the very first humans boned the dryads, and then Zeus was like, "Oh, this is not good," and then he made women. So we'd stop
I,
boning all the ash trees.
I see. Before then, you
We're
were
just
just
going
boning.
ham on these dryads, apparently.
I mean,
I didn't know, I
can
didn't
you
know
blame
that's how.
early humans?
I mean,
No,
they didn't have anything else to have sex with, so.
yeah. Also,
Not
like,
even that, but like early, but dryads. I mean, come on.
yeah.
Yeah.
They're nymphs, right? They're
Yeah,
inhumanly beautiful. They're so beautiful that dudes like Apollo, the god of beauty and music and poetry, is just like can
he's like,
fall
I
in
got a
love with
bone
one and non-consensually chase her until she begs to be turned into a tree to be rid of him.
I see.
that.
You know, I
Yeah,
guess what I'm saying is
that kind
ancient
of
Greece
problem.
is not a very consent forward, but is a very horny
Yeah.
culture.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah. For real.
easily the horniest.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Oreads are connected to mountain conifers.
Mountain conifers.
Yeah, so
Cool.
like, yeah, I don't know how much you guys remember your high school history class, but like, Greece is kind of shitty. It's mostly mountains and ocean. There's not like a lot of good places for forests and stuff to be. So
Yeah, it's true.
most of Greece is mountains. So these Oreads were the most common druids, and I have to say, I feel like it's gotta suck if you're like, that's Delilah. She got that big oak tree over there. It's nice.
Yeah,
That's
beautiful.
Helen. She's got this apple tree. It makes apples. Everybody loves it. And then there's me. I'm an Oread, and I'm stuck in a fern that's about 3 feet tall.
I'm in a
Seems
conifer.
unfair.
I don't get
Yeah.
the big, spacious, very luxurious redwood.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Could you imagine? That thing's probably like a fucking like
Oh, it's got to be a
apartment
mansion if it works like
complex.
I'm thinking it
Yeah,
does.
Yeah.
it's like a mansion or a castle.
Yeah.
If it was more modern, it would be like a downtown suite.
I really
Yeah.
want to see the redwoods.
Oh, they're
I,
beautiful.
I've seen them like when I was a kid. I remember climbing up the roots of one. Like one of them had like fallen, and like the
Oh,
roots were
Oh yeah,
like
yeah.
it's like huge, like the size of a house. You know. I remember just seeing that, and I was like, I'm gonna climb that.
There is
hell
something
yeah!
awe-inspiring in a cool way to see a tree that is hundreds of years old and hundreds of feet tall and just be like, damn,
Yeah, they're cool.
I mean,
They're
like
cool.
that
yeah,
boy big.
I hate that the first people who saw them are like, I don't know, maybe the first like white people that saw them were like,
Yeah,
I'm gonna cut that down.
yeah.
That kind of
that's a
sucks.
lot of wood.
That's not a beautiful ancient tall living
Exactly.
thing. That's a lot of wood.
It's a lot of wood we
A
could
lot of
use.
wood. I could make that into a lot of house or boat.
Also worth
Like,
noting, just
don't do that.
because, because it's this podcast, there's a pretty good Bigfoot museum in the heart of the redwoods in Northern California,
That's
near one
cool.
of the tourist spots, and it's a Bigfoot hot spot. So like, just go keep your eyes up there looking at the big trees, and then keep your eyes down here looking for the big feet. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Is that
it's
like over around Big Sur? Is that what that is?
Yeah, yeah,
I see.
the big
I think
sir.
so.
Yeah, Big Sur. Oh man.
I feel like uh, going into nature and then seeing something grown that large,
Mhm.
like, is still enough to kind of inspire like the thought. Oh, I still might be living. I think that there still might be a possibility I'm living in like a fantasy world.
Yeah. Oh,
Ain't
Yeah.
no
it really feels like it. I mean,
Yeah.
like
that's
ain't no way
famously
this tree
why
got this big.
Yeah.
famously, right? That's why they went. That's why they put Endor. They shot all the Endor scenes for Star Wars in the redwoods in Northern California because like this shit
Yeah.
looks alien,
It's
Yeah.
and nowhere else
crazy.
got trees like this. It's weird.
They're like, look how
Yeah.
big this trunk is.
Yeah. Yeah.
I could walk around it and get lost for a bit.
Yeah.
You get lost walking around that tree.
Yeah, I mean, you really can.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's
we al- we also
it's
got
insane.
Hamadryads, which protect oak and poplar trees.
That's
We
cool.
got Meliades or Epimelides, which protected apple trees and also sheep.
Apple tree
Oh,
city.
Yeah.
oh, nice.
Uh,
Cheap.
They acted as like shepherds too.
yeah, apparently, or they just protected sheep, I guess. Like they're still
Oh,
tree
all right.
spirits, but I guess they were cool as sheep.
Hmm.
Then we
Like
got
this is my homie sheep.
we like sheep, yeah. We got this is just a list of them. We don't know anything else, but we got Daphne were protected laurel trees. Igeroy protected black poplars. Ampeloi, very important, protected grapevines.
Ooh,
Mm.
Belades,
that's what the
ilex.
Greases,
Oh yeah,
the
you gotta.
Grecians. Yeah, they love them.
Carii protect hazelnut trees, also very yummy.
Yeah.
Corneli protect cherry trees. Morii protect mulberry trees. Um, Telii protect elm trees, and lastly, Skii. Oh boy. Uh-oh. Protect fig trees.
Fig trees.
Fig trees.
Get some figs and some soft feta.
Yeah. Sounds like a good
Yeah,
time.
talking about it, it's just like I wonder, do the dryads scale with the size of tree, or
I
do they
feel like
always
so.
stay the same? Because like if you got the like, again going back to the redwood, like if a redwood dryad was there, that'd be like a giant, like a
That now see
giant.
that's an idea. That's an idea you should steal
That's
through
a
D and
cool
D
idea.
game.
Yeah, yeah. The
Oh my
giant
god,
dryads.
yeah,
Yeah,
like the giantess dryads that just inhabit the redwood,
yeah,
Yeah.
and then you're just getting attacked by big old arms that are just like punching into the
yeah.
ground.
It sounds fun. Don't fuck with the enchanted forest.
Yeah,
Yeah,
dope.
All right,
you coming in
but
here, you're gonna cut our big trees.
I don't think so. But like I
I don't
said,
think so.
dryads are only that's Greece. Lots of people have tree spirits. Have you ever heard of the Skogra?
The
Skogra.
Skogra?
So this is like the Viking metal version of the dryad. Okay.
Okay, that's awesome.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So Skogra are just so they look like beautiful elf maidens, dressed in
Mhm.
red,
Yeah.
green, or blue, and they're native to like Germany and Scandinavia. Um, and in return for sexual favors,
Uh-oh.
the Skogra would charm your rifle so that you didn't miss, or it could keep your fires burning, or stop you from getting lost.
So if you have sex
Wow.
with them, they'll give you like a
Yeah,
blessing or whatever.
or if you go down on them, I think.
I see. I see. I see. I see.
Yeah,
I see.
All they want is for you to pleasure them.
yeah.
I see.
And in exchange, you won't get lost.
You
That's
won't get
rad.
lost. They protect. They're good.
That
If
sounds
you
like
You
a
know
win-win
what?
to me, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
especially because the
That sounds like
previous
a pretty
paragraph
good.
describes them as beautiful. Not to put on my extremely thick rimmed glasses and my neck beard, but especially because the previous paragraph described them as attractive elf maidens. Like I don't think anyone's losing in that scenario.
Yeah.
Who would get lost? I mean, I think the only one who would probably choose to get lost is if someone was like very loyal to their wife.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
In some
I'd
regions,
be doomed.
it was customary that you bake. They were also called the woodwife. Sometimes it was customary
Oh,
that you bake them a little loaf of bread.
oh, nice.
And sometimes people claimed if you leave a loaf of bread out, they'll give you some little sweets in return.
Okay.
Oh,
Like they
well,
would,
that's
or
nice.
you could trade like bread for apples and stuff.
Okay. Okay.
Just the
Um,
thought
Barter
of it would
system.
be super
This
funny.
That's the
Where it's
barter
all like,
system.
we're like a Viking wife. It's like, where have you been? You've been missing for a week. It's like, well, I got lost, and then I got not lost.
It's a bunch of like
And she's like,
twists in
"Oh
his
my
beard.
god, you did it with the wood nymph, did you? I was
No.
gonna die."
He coughs and a bird comes out.
You have to understand, I was gonna die out there. Please. I still love you.
Yeah.
I did it because I loved you.
Have we talked about the Wild Hunt before? I can't remember. Do you guys know what the Wild Hunt
Yeah.
is?
Wild Hunt.
I
So-
don't think we've talked about
Sounds
it before.
familiar.
Depending on what region you are,
I
this
know
is
that
either
it's
a
the name
bunch
of
of
a
demons,
Witcher
or
game.
it's Odin and his pals, or it's a bunch of ghosts, or it's a bunch of evil
Oh.
fairies, or it's a bunch of good fairies, and they ride through the towns just killing anybody they can.
Mhm.
And allegedly, in the winter, the Skogra got hunted by the Wild Hunt, but there are multiple stories of people saving these women from the Wild Hunt, and then the
Mhm.
women are like, "Thank you so much. Here's a bunch of wood chips."
Yay.
And if you accepted the wood chips, the next morning they'd turn into gold.
They turn to gold.
Wow.
Yeah,
These wood chips are
See,
actually
those wood
gold.
nymphs knew what's up.
It's like
Yeah.
the opposite of what would happen if
yeah, with leprechauns and shit.
with leprechauns, where you take the gold and it turns out it's like leaves.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a D&D adventure right there, right? Like, you got to play bodyguards to a dryad, protect her
Yeah.
from some evil fairies or something, or some
That'd
undead.
be
They're like, the Wild Hunt is coming.
Yeah.
And they're looking for me.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, bingo bango, you're done. Steal that one.
Oh, no.
Go for it.
But
Put
I
it
did
in your
say
little
this was like,
notebook.
yep. I did say this was the metal version of the Dryad, and indeed, it's a German fairy tale, so there's a fucked up side too. It's not just
I'm
all
sure there is.
consensually going down on people and trading apple pies for baked goods.
Oh no.
And getting gold out of wood.
Yeah. So
Tell us, old lore master.
if you pissed off a Skroga, they could be deeply vengeful.
Mm-hmm.
And being fey creatures, they were incredibly easy to accidentally piss off.
All right.
Often they would lure you deep into the wood, like get you lost intentionally, where they would beat you to death or impale you on their sharp branch-like arms. And then
Oh,
either they personally would drink your blood, or they carry your corpse to their personal tree, and then they feed all your blood to their tree.
I see.
wow. That is metal.
Yeah.
That is incredibly metal.
I kind of prefer this take on the Dryad to like the traditional one, but like my brain is poisoned by Games Workshop and like the Ant-Attack scene, so I don't think I'm universal there.
The Ant-Attack scene.
Yeah, in Lord of the Rings, where all the Ents get up and start all fucking
Yeah,
kicking the
start
shit out of
fucking-
Isengard.
Yeah, that part
Oh,
was
shit.
awesome. I like that
Yeah.
part of the movie.
I want more. It's 2023. I want some trees to get up and fuck up Amazon.
That'd be great. Yeah.
I want some trees to grow some legs, get up, and start throwing their weight around, literally, on
Yeah.
Amazon.
Take a Tesla, eat it into the Tesla factory.
Just stick a dragon on Bezos.
Yeah, Bezos. Is the dragon. That's my.
He can take it.
Yeah,
Oh,
Bezos would be the one that's dressed up in like the Dark Lord knight armor.
Oh yeah.
No helmet on. You have to know what shines in the darkness, and it's
Have
his head.
Have you ever played? It's called Going Under. It's a really great beat 'em up roguelike game about. It's like a fantasy, but it's also like you're in a company in Seattle or in San Francisco
Oh,
or
yeah.
something that's like
I haven't played it, but I've heard of it. Yeah.
it's a startup. One of the final bosses is a definitely not Jeff Bezos character who's wielding a massive box cutter, like a
Oh
like
my
a
God.
Final Fantasy fucking giant sword.
funny.
He's fucking Goku flash stepping and stuff. Oh, it's a great game. Killer
That's
soundtrack.
hilarious.
Really fun game.
You gotta check
And of
that
course,
one
you
gotta
get to
play it
kill
sometime.
Jeff Bezos. And
Not
definitely
Bezos.
not Jeff Bezos. We're gonna get pulled from Amazon 100% now.
Exclamation point, Jeff Bezos.
Yeah. So that's any other dryad thoughts or spooky wood creature thoughts, or should we go from the good forest creatures to the bad forest creatures?
uh, uh, attractive forest tree woman. Uh, pretty good, but could be cooler if was a giant and could crush you with her hands.
Fair.
Yeah, yeah.
Fair.
We all love a
I
giant
mean,
woman.
at most they're like
We do,
NPCs.
we
Yeah.
do. Uh,
All right, what's
Alright.
the other
We
forest
got
creature?
we got Duergar, which are your evil dwarves in D&D.
They look like evil dwarves.
Duergar.
They're all
I can
bald.
tell that they're evil dwarves because they're purple.
Yeah, they're purple with white hair, just like how Drow, which I think we're going to cover next week,
I
are
like
are
Purple with white
evil
hair.
elves.
are purple or dark skinned with white hair. Like
Right.
Gary Gygax was like, what's evil? The upside
Purple.
down line of colors.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So right at the top, Duergar is just Old Norse for dwarf.
Hmm. Okay.
So like in much of our Scandinavian sources, this is going to be confusing, right? So like we do not have a lot of Scandinavian stories that were preserved before they became Christian. So like a lot of
Oh.
Scandinavian stories are fucked up. We just
Oh,
don't we
no.
just don't know a lot about their like real religion. And
like
as part of
fucked
that,
up by time and like
yeah,
I see. Fucked up by
by
time.
time and by Christianity, by the people who are writing down these stories were Christian monks. We have to syncretize Loki with the devil because otherwise,
Or else no one
Right.
would understand.
exactly.
No one would get it.
Hmm.
I remember hearing this theory. Of course, I got it off TikTok that that Jesus Christ is actually the god Loki, who's like tried to like trick everyone into his own religion, and like
That make
there
a
was
lot
like
of
there
sense.
was some like there was some like parallels to it, like
Bro, why
for
did you just
example.
spoil the ending of the Loki second season?
Now on Disney Plus, sponsor us, Disney. We promise we'll talk less about consensually giving cunnilingus to wood spirits.
Yeah.
No, absolutely not. I'm
But
a big
yeah,
supporter of consensuous cunnilingus to wood
Yes.
spirits.
yeah, it
I'm
had some,
for it.
the theory had something to do with like the
If
four
you're not
horsemen of the
down, you're out.
apocalypse, and like how they were actually like the four horsemen of the apocalypse are actually like Nordic gods who were like
tried to
coming
stop
to
him.
fuck up Loki.
Oh,
I don't know. I don't remember much of it. Like
It feels like it's in the same realm as Grant Morrison being like, yeah, the Flash, that's literally Mercury.
Yeah,
That's literally Hermes who's like, I want to be remembered again.
yeah,
and he just came back and he's all like, "I'm here again, but
Yeah.
now I'm the Flash."
There's this whole Grant Morrison theory, which is like, as far as occult theories, I think it's fun, but like they have the theory that like most superheroes are those ancient
Gods.
entities trying to make themselves relevant again. And
Right.
like we were talking about how ubiquitous Marvel movies were, and
yeah,
if that's the
yeah.
case, they're really succeeding.
They really
All
are.
right.
I don't know, man. There was also like a whole other theory that Jesus Christ probably didn't actually exist at all. I know that's probably the hottest take, but like
I don't know. I think that's a pretty
I don't think
pretty well baked take.
I'd have to
Yeah.
check, but like my recollection is that, like there's not a ton of Roman records about him, and
Yeah,
like
exactly.
it's either
And the fact that the New Testament was actually originally written in what, Greek?
I think it's
Or Roman?
originally Hebrew, and then it got translated many times.
Yeah, I don't think the New Testament was ever written in Hebrew. I don't think. I might be wrong.
I'm not a biblical. This is not my area of focus. I'm about 700 years
Really?
later in the Islamic stuff.
Yeah,
So-
because I know
It's like-
that I know that the
It's like
the
if you
Old
took the
Testament's
New
just
Testament.
I know the Old Testament's just the Torah, right? It's just
Yeah.
the Jewish Bible, and the New Testament was I don't know if it was ever. Tell me. Send us an email if you know.
Honestly, this is probably just a Google way, but yeah, help us anyway.
Yeah.
Dwarves.
I'm just saying, it's like you took the New Testament and you just put it through Google Translate like 6 times.
Yeah, I mean, those are almost all like that.
Yeah.
History is
And
funny that way.
yep.
It is.
Let's
Yeah.
not forget that a lot of those sources would also be lost if not for the Islamic
That's
Golden
true.
Age. But anyway,
That's true. What's evil about them besides that they're purple with white hair?
yeah, we'll get to that. I just want to be like, the point I'm trying to get across here is the term Duergar, depending on who you're talking to, which scholar and which author, it could mean dwarf, it could mean evil dwarf, and it could mean dark elf.
Mm,
Okay.
So it's confusing shit, is what I'm saying.
It could be anything.
it could be anything.
And though today, when we say dwarf, we usually think of the Tolkien dwarves. For most of history, when people said dwarf, they were usually short, hairy, evil creatures, right?
Ah.
Like you can think about the dwarf that Shiva's stamping on in that famous Hindu sculpture. If you look, that she's standing on a dwarf, an evil dwarf.
Yeah.
Uh,
He's like, eh.
yeah, Narnia, the evil dwarves. You know,
Yeah.
I do think it's one of the funniest scenes in cinematic history. Ryan's made the exact sound of it, but in the first Narnia movie, where the big battle's done, and they're just like, "Where's Edmund?" and it smash cuts to Edmund bleeding out on the ground, and there's a little dwarf creeping up on him, and then the
Oh,
big
no.
sister just yells Edmund, and the dwarf goes "Wah!" and then she shoots him, and he makes a Waluigi ass sound and dies.
You're right.
Go look that up. All right. So in D&D, Duergar are dwarves that dug what else but too deep and too greedily, and they ran into mind flayers.
Like, we want more dirt and stone and ore.
Rock and
jewels.
stone. I've been playing too much Deep Galactic.
It's okay. It's a good game.
It's a great game. But yeah, so the mind flayers do what mind flayers did, and psychically devastated these dwarves and enslaved them. So even after the dwarves were defeated, they came out that now the Bryans were all crazy and evil and fucked up.
Yeah. I just like the thought, like, the dwarves showed up and they're like, oh, mind flayers, and the mind flayers like, mind flay. And they're just throwing out their palms, shooting out psychic waves, mind flay, and they're like, ah.
Oh, you guys got really good constitution and resistance to poison. Well, that's not going to stop you from getting wrecked psychically at all, is it?
Mind flay.
Increased carrying capacity, perfect for a slave. This is working out great. Everything's coming up, mind flayer.
Mind flayer's like, wow, I really lucked out running into this.
Yep.
All right, move my furniture, boys.
Yep. So the mind flayer's evil rubbed off on the dwarves, and now the dwarves, like the mind flayers before them, are cruel tyrants that love to enslave people.
Well, wonderful. Like, we need more of those.
Yeah, it's like I know it's because this is how D&D worked. Nobody was like, let's make an ecosystem here. But it's like every other creature in the Underdark is like the drow, the mind flayers, the Duergar. Everybody is like, well, you know, I'm from the evil gnomes. They're like, well, I'm from a deep underground race that used to be a good guy, but then was turned evil, and now I've built a giant empire under the ground, and our main things are doing evil and enslaving people.
Our main exports are slaves and evil deeds.
Yes. Our main imports are slaves.
A lot of slaves. But mostly slaves.
Yep.
You cannot believe how many we've enslaved down here.
Everybody.
We've got a crazy empire built on minerals that we will not explain, but...
And mushrooms.
Can you see our slave collection?
Yep.
Oh, and the mushrooms.
So I think that's cool. I think that's a good backstory for an evil dwarf. I don't know if it's good.
They just got too greedy and they paid the price, which was turning
instead
evil.
of a Balrog or whatever, this time it's mind flayers, which is very D&D.
Yeah.
For reasons I cannot find the history of, in D&D, part of being around mind flayers means that in addition to being evil and having increased like will defenses against psychic powers, they can now also grow and shrink in size.
Yeah.
Who knows why?
I find it mechanically very uninteresting.
That's lame.
I have never run Duergar and had somebody not make a joke like, "Oh wait, he's a giant dwarf." Tee hee. It's goofy. Give him
He's a
psychic powers. Do
he's a
the
small
Manta
medium at
Games thing
large.
and make them like evil technology. Make them. A lot of times D&D doesn't do this, but a lot of times with evil dwarves, what they do is they like, well, what are the bad things about dwarves? Their greed, their xenophobia, their use of technology, and like they do that all times 100. Where they're like, they're super
Yeah,
greedy now. Now they hoard slaves in addition to treasure. They're super
yeah.
xenophobic. They hate everybody else, and they
Which is
now
why they
like
enslave people.
yeah, and now they do all the bad industry technology, not the good technology. They do the bad stuff.
No,
Yeah,
they made coal factories and have
exactly.
decided
It's
to use
coal
way too
factories.
many.
We're not mining coal. We're making it. We're making
Yeah.
bespoke.
We're selling it all off, and then we're also burning it just
Yeah,
because.
just because we have understood the carbon cycle and we're gonna
Yeah.
blot out the sun.
The
Hey,
dwarf is all like,
good
"This is our
idea.
evil plan. Our empire, our big castle back there. We've got a pipe that goes straight to the surface, and it's just blurring out some bad smoke."
Yeah, it's just straight CO2, man. Uh,
We're eating up the ozone up there. The Underdark will be fine.
yeah. I mean, they are as just like every other Underdark creature. They do have sunlight sensitivity. If they're fighting in bright sunlight, they're at disadvantage. They hate it. It's not good. So, like, I could see a mole man from Marvel Comics plot where they're like, "Yes, we are trying to blot out the
We'll
sun."
blot out the sun with our coal smoke.
Yeah,
Yeah.
free ideas. Free ideas. Also, they can turn invisible, which is useful. Never bad.
They
Never
can
bad.
turn invisible.
That's an interesting power.
Yes.
Why would they
Not,
have that power?
my best guess is because we're about to talk about the real world Duergar, and they have that
Okay.
power. But that's sort of like
Oh.
generic magical creature power. Again, if I were to later books have given the Duergar like a bunch of different stat blocks. We can't cover all that. Can't cover the Fiend Folio and shit like that because we'll be here for years. Oh my god, it's been a year and we're only in D's.
Yeah.
But yeah, give them more industry stuff. That's my hot take.
While while you say that the enlarged power is like widely just generally uninteresting, which is fair because it just makes them bigger, but it also makes anything they're holding or wearing bigger. So
Yes.
like, what if you just to make that interesting, it's like, oh, they use technology now. Oh, he got gun. Gun bigger now.
Okay, I think you're goofing, but I do think like imagine if they had a blunderbuss and it's like, cool,
No,
that
I'm not
blunderbuss is
goofing
now the
at
size
all.
of a
It's just like,
cannon.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
just the idea is just like, oh, like now you have a shotgun that shoots cannonball sized ammunition, and there's a lot of it heading
Yeah.
towards you.
Yeah,
You know,
it's a blunderbuss, right? You can stick anything in there and it becomes
it,
fucking
ca-
shrapnel.
it just becomes scrap,
Yeah.
scrap that will tear you up.
Yeah.
So, like, what if a Dragar got a Duergar? Duergar.
Duergar?
Duergar.
None of us speak Old
Duergar.
English. It's all
Duergar.
What if one of them had like a fat powder keg explosive, and then they enlarged and it became huger, and he was like, "This is my final move."
well, you've
Yeah.
completely disproven my theorem, and I couldn't be happier. You're saying don't use enlarge to just make them a big boss monster.
Yeah,
Make
just
them-
make them dangerous.
Yeah, make them do fun, creative things.
Yeah, I mean, like, they're evil creatures. Why would they not think of using evil creature moves? You
They're
know?
evil geniuses. Yeah.
It's like, oh, I had like bring in the Duergar with the powder keg, or have him have like regular sized like hand thrown explosives, but he enlarges and they become like dangerous bombs.
Yeah. There you go.
You know, like I know it's a challenge rating 1, but you can make him very spicy by
Yeah.
by giving him stuff like that. Like, oh,
And ain't that just a lesson in, like, use. Even if we say stat block is boring, I'm sure someone knows a way to make it creative and fun.
Oh yeah, for real.
very true.
Anyway, how would you like to talk about some real Duergar out there doing
Oh, I'd
evil
love
stuff?
Tell me
I'd
about
love
it.
to.
I guess like, who do you have any takes on the? Do you have any takes on the Duergar before we move to the real world Duergar?
I don't know. I mean, I guess my opinion on them is kind of the same as I have as the Drow. Really,
Yeah.
It's like they're kind of lame.
Fair.
Fair.
I don't know.
They're just evil elves. They're
Yeah.
just
They're just
evil dwarves.
elves, evil dwarves.
With a black palette swap with
Yeah.
spike armor.
Yeah. They're just goth dwarves.
Yep. All right, so we've talked about how dwarves are, or evil dwarves were kind of common before, but there is a specific Duergar legend from Northumbria in the UK that I think directly inspired D&D's Duergar. So these are the also called the Simonside dwarves. They live under the hills in that part of England, and they're said to be evil little hairy dwarves that delight in doing evil and leading people astray.
Okay.
They're said to often create like little balls of light and use these to either chase people into swamps or off cliffs or lure them into swamps or off cliffs.
That sounds perfectly prankster-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very common. Like, we haven't done will-o-wisps yet, but it's the same shit, right?
Will-o-the-wisp.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't know. It's like that pronunciation of it is stuck in my head.
Will-o-the-wisp. I also just
Will-o-the-wisp.
will-o-the-wisp is always ugh. It doesn't have a good mouthfeel.
Nah.
No. You gotta add in a
Will-o-the-wisp.
bunch of H's.
Yeah. Lay it on me, do it.
Will-o-the-wisp.
No, worse. That's sticky in my ears.
I hate it.
So one story tells of a man who was wandering out on the moors when like a big storm hits, and he went looking for shelter late at night, and to his great surprise he sees a little cabin with the lights on inside. So he goes and he knocks on the door and nobody answers. He tries the door and it's unlocked. So he goes inside and he waits around a little while to see if anyone's going to come home, and he can be like, "Hey bro, sorry, I didn't mean to break in, bad storm, took shelter, I hope that's cool." But nobody shows up, so he decides like no point in waiting up all night, which I would do in this situation. You don't know if they're a murderer
Yeah.
or a
of course not.
Duergar, I guess, but
Yeah. How would
this
you
dude-
know?
This dude decides to crash. He takes a little sleepy deepy. And in the middle of the night, there's a gust of wind and he feels a little cold, and he shivers and he wakes up and he stretches and he puts his hand down and he almost falls, and he looks around and he realizes that the cabin is gone. It was an illusory cabin, and actually he'd been tricked, probably by the Duergar, into falling asleep by the side of a cliff so that they might roll him off of it. They were this close.
He almost got me.
Yeah.
He woke up and he went.
Yep.
He woke up and he went, "Animal House."
I was gonna go the other way with it, where a Duergar saw him almost put his hand off the edge of the cliff and fall, but not, and go like, "Yeah."
He's like, "Yeah." He slapped his knee and he's like,
There's put his way down.
and he just hobbled off into the night.
Yep.
Maybe
In
the
another
next guy.
story, we got a goofball who's like, "I don't believe in the Duergar. That's fake as fuck. I'm gonna go out into the swamp and prove the Duergar aren't real."
Sounds like a bad idea.
Wow.
Yeah.
That sounds
So-
like a really
Like,
bad
even
idea.
if Duergar aren't real.
Yes, in fact, you were correct, because he goes wandering around here, and he's just like, "Okay, I've realized that it's really hard to prove a negative. So instead, I'm going to play a prank on my friends. I'm going to pretend to be trapped in a swamp,
Uh-huh.
and then I'll be like, 'Help, help, the Duergar got me,' and they'll come and they'll see that I am actually just for real trapped in the swamp, and then the joke will be on them."
Yeah. I wasn't trapped. I wasn't trapped by the Duergar. I was just trapped normal.
Yep. Anyway, so he's in the
What
swamp.
an idiot.
He's in the swamp. He's up to his chest, and he's just like, help, help, I'm stuck in the swamp, tee-hee, tee-hee. And then in the low-cut bushes, he sees a bunch of little pairs of red eyes light up and start coming towards them.
That's not good.
Oh, man.
Mm-mm.
You're in it now, buddy.
Yeah, you better start believing in Duergar stories.
You better start believing in him. You're in one.
Yep. So indeed, a bunch of hairy little dwarves with clubs and knives and torches surround him, and he's like, "Oh shit, the Duergar are real, and I'm
They're gonna
trapped in the
beat me to
swamp.
death.
I've made a terrible mistake."
Not again.
But he has his walking stick nearby, and so he uses it to swing on the dwarves. Maybe he casts Shillelagh, I don't know. But as soon as he thwacks them with the stick, they disappear. They go poof and disappear. So
What? That easy?
apparently,
What is this? 4E?
yeah.
Are they minions?
Yeah, I guess. One hit, one kill.
Yeah, 1 HP, but they got all the ability.
Yep. Anyway, he bonks them. I actually love minions, but maybe that's a story for a different time.
Same.
It's a great way to make players feel overwhelmed, but
Powerful.
also be like, these are all paper tigers, dog. One fireball, they're all gone. You feel like a hero. It's great.
I'm just saying. I'm gonna continue arguing that 4E had some pretty good ideas. Combat-wise.
We do not have time for this, but I love the 4E monster manual. I was just complaining, like, there's one Duergar in the 5E monster manual. In the 4E monster manual, there's like 3 of everything, because they want you to scale it for their party, but I digress. 4E was killed unfairly. Well, I'll say that. Despite the Duergar all seemingly being minions, he's still being chased down the moors by a bunch of dwarves, and he's getting tired, and this won't last forever. So he ran for as long as he could, and using his, I guess, long legs compared to their legs, he finally got like ahead of them enough that he did the old, like, I'm gonna dive into a bush and wait for them to all run away. So he dives into a bush, and they all run past him. But this isn't Looney Tunes, so they're like, we know we saw him here. So they spend the next...
So they stuck around?
Yeah, so they spent the next amount of time just looking around the bushes trying to find him. But luckily for him, the sun rose up before they got to his bush, and he was able to escape that morning.
Good. Good thing there were so many bushes that were identical and hard to identify.
The source I have here says specifically that they retreated back under the hills and the barrows of the area, which again, I think you were about to point out, Julio. Yeah, the sun beat them, just like in D&D. They don't like the sun.
Okay.
Our next story comes from a comment on the Fairy Folklore blog, so this is probably bullshit, but it's a good one, so here we go.
Lovely.
Okay, so allegedly Duergar are most active in April.
Okay.
That's Duergar season in Simon's Side.
Is that springtime? That's springtime, right? Yeah.
Well, I can't remember if we've talked about this either, but like, apparently the Duergar, in late April, they're said to get drunk and dance around bonfires doing evil rituals.
Okay. Oh,
so like,
we should go camping and do that. That'd be fun.
Yeah. I mean,
evil rituals? Oh, totally.
So, have you guys ever heard of Walpurgisnacht?
I've heard of the word Walpurgis, but not Walpurgisnacht.
So that's April 30th. It's the opposite end of the year from Halloween, right? This is the Witch's Night. So like the veil is really thin on Halloween. The veil is also really thin on Walpurgisnacht. So in like German and Scandinavian and then some English folklore, like that's the night when all the witches do the bad shit. That and Halloween. So like maybe all the dwarves are doing Walpurgisnacht rituals. I don't know. Maybe the Duergar love witchy shit.
I can't think of why not.
Yep. Anyway, so according to this person on fairyfolklore.blog, she had a friend who wanted to also see if the rumors were true. So one night in late April, he got fucking hammered and he went on to the moors and the hills to see if he could see any bonfires.
Okay.
So eventually he found a bonfire, and it being the UK in the 1970s, he was like, I bet there are some hot druid chicks there. Right? There's the whole pagan revival, naked rituals were a thing. So he's like, I'm gonna go be a little creep, and I'm gonna go see some boobies.
I'm gonna see if I can go slam some druid ladies.
Yeah, so he stuck
Little
close
did
to
you
the
know.
yes, he stuck close to the underbrush, this little creeper, and he crept up and he got as close as he could to the bonfire, and instead of seeing some hot neo-pagan people, instead what he saw were a bunch of ugly dwarves chanting and dancing, and like a horror movie, one of them noticed him, and then one by one they all turned to look at him, and he's like,
Oh no.
"Oh, I'm boned."
Uh-oh. I was going to bone, but now I am the bone.
Yes. So he gets up and he sprints, and they take all their knives and their clubs and their torches, and they chase him all the way back to his car. And again, like a horror movie, he fumbled with his keys and only barely
course.
managed to open the door before they catch him.
Of course.
And again, they don't disappear. They stood around scratching up his car and beating on it, trying to get him to come out.
Of course.
Allegedly, these ones also had long claws, and they scratched up his windows.
Oh,
Wow.
that's fucked. Well, that's a lot of money.
Yeah. But the sun came up, and they went away again, and he made it home safely.
They went away, but then one stood at the edge of the forest, and they looked back, and they went like. They did the two fingers to the eyes.
Yeah.
Stay away from our bonfire. Yeah.
You weren't invited. Don't be a creep, also, just in general.
You should have waited for your invitation.
Yeah. In my last little Duergar story for you guys here, this is a very, like, Fey one, alright? I guess these are all Fey, but this is, like, you'll see. So in this tale, we got two young dudes who traveled up from Newcastle to enjoy some hunting in the area. And after a morning of hunting, they stopped to eat their lunch in a clearing among the heather when they were approached by a little dwarf in black clothing in broad daylight. So the dwarf asked them, "Hey, do you know who I am?" To which a clever young man answered back, like, "Oh, you're definitely the lord of the manor, right?" And the dwarf didn't reply, and he's like, "Well, since you're the lord of the manor, and we shot these birds on your land, here, take half of the birds we shot."
Okay.
This pleased the little creature, who was like, "Thank you very much, you are correct. Why don't you come get lunch with me?" And so the less clever man was like, "That sounds like a good idea. Let's follow this dwarf back to his mansion." The clever young man was like, it's that, like, Old Spice meme. He's like, put his hand on his chest, shook his head. Bro. He politely declined the offer, but thanked the Duergar for letting them hunt on his land. And the Duergar shrugged and was like, "Suit yourselves," and wandered off and disappeared.
Of course.
When the men got to town, they were like, "Hey, we saw a fucked up little dwarf out there."
There was a scary little man back there.
There was a scary little man back there dressed all in black. He had claws and sharp teeth.
He thanked us for the birds, but I
Yeah.
was like, I ain't gonna follow him anywhere.
He invited us to lunch. But yeah, so like when they got back to town and told the story to the locals were like, "Hey, good thing you didn't accept that lunch invite, because the Duergar love to eat people most of all, and he probably would have had you for lunch." Woo!
He was gonna turn around and stab you in the tummy.
Yep.
Spooky.
And that's Duergar. I think the
Wow.
D&D ones are lame. I like Ryan's idea. Make them lean in. I know I'm Warhammer brand. I know this is almost always my takeaway. Is like, we'll make them a little bit more like Warhammer.
Yeah, just make them dangerous techno barons.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Like lean.
make
Like
'em- yeah.
every Warhammer does this. Mantic does this. I think even Lord of the Rings does this in some appendixes. I think basically everyone but D&D is like leans into industry bad, and I think that's where these guys are best, is industry bad. That's my take. But I like the stories for Simonside. If we can, I'd love to go camping in Simonside.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, what do you guys think?
Oh, man.
That'd be
I like
be
these
interesting.
stories.
That'd be
I
exciting.
like that last story, especially of like.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was a good one.
that last one is good.
Oh man.
Just
I guess,
getting almost eaten.
Yeah, for real. Oh man. Be careful out there. Don't look out for the Duergar.
Yeah,
But
don't
be
get
polite.
Duergar.
Be polite. Be polite to the spirits. You never know. You don't want to end up cursed.
Yeah, no one wants to get fucking wrecked.
Yeah. Or Ian.
Yeah. Oh man. Thank you so much, John.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank
buddy.
you guys.
Thanks for all the research as always.
This is great. Oh man.
Let's plug our pluggables, I guess. That's all I
I
got.
guess so. Yeah. Okay.
Plug plegables.
Thank you for listening. Rate us on wherever you're listening. Rate us 5 stars. We'll leave us a review. We'll read it out. Send us an email. Buy us a coffee. I'd appreciate it. Thank you, Jesse Sanders, for our music.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Check him out.
Jesse
Follow him
Sanders.
on Instagram. What else? Buy a shirt, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah. Buy some
Yeah.
merch.
Buy some merch. And we'll see you guys 2 weeks from now. I
Yeah.
don't know